Man's getting fat, bro. I'm getting fat, man. Jeez. Welcome to welcome to another video. So hopelessness, let's talk about it. What does hopelessness mean? Hopelessness is a feeling that things will not get better. In short. Alright, now that we understand the definition, the base, the foundation, we've set the core. I want to tell you a story. Let's call this character in our story Black. Right? Now Black is a very, very ambitious young man. 19 years old. Doesn't come from a family that of advantaged, parents, people with money. Black doesn't have, the best looks. Probably a 6 out of 10 on a good day. On a bad day, like a 3. Black also struggles with bad habits like smoking weed, consuming adult content, drinking, sleeping late. And now Black, even though is ambitious, even though has these goals, Black reaches this place in his life, right, where even though he has all these goals, even though he has all these bad habits, and he has a certain place that he's from, background, Black still feels that things won't get better. His life won't get better. He will never be in a place where he can provide for his family. He'll never be in a place where he reaches his financial goals, his fitness goals, his mental health goals. And how do you think Black feels about realizing that things won't get better? Hopeless, right? Probably depressed even a little bit. Anxiety, you could argue. The reason why I'm telling you this story, the reason why I'm mentioning the story of Black and is because you may be like Black, and I know I was exactly like Black. I was somebody where I felt like I was doing everything right. I was waking up on time. I was getting my morning routines done. I was getting my daily tasks done. I was taking steps towards my goals. And I saw it all crumble and go down when I decided to drink again. I didn't drink like habitually. I just drank like one day, but that one day of drinking, just like I got very drunk, blackout drunk, and I did made a lot of dumb decisions. I messed up a lot of people's lives, man. And listen, I woke up the next day, I lost my phone, and all of that nonsense. People were mad at me because when you're drunk, you don't know how to behave. And so me, just like Black, I was just like Black. I entered that state of hopelessness, right? I felt like, damn, I was doing so much. I was consistently on my morning routine, meditating, gratitude journaling. I was constantly reading books, trying to make sure I understand myself better, the world better. And then only for something like this to happen. Something like this where it seems like I've made zero progress because the person that they're describing me to be is the person that I was when I started this journey of trying to become a better version of myself. So I entered the state of hopelessness, and it leads you back into the bad habits, the smoking, the drinking, the whatever bad habits that you may have. Hopelessness leads you back into bad habits, and bad habits make you even more hopeless because of how they affect your brain and your your vision, your foresight, your ability to see things. And that's why I wanted to make this video, because I want to give you some tips on what helped me get over that feeling of hopelessness. The one thing that really got me out of hopelessness is actually being realistic. Delusion to a certain degree is healthy, and we can talk about that in another video. But for me, being hyper realistic about my life helped me to not only leave the state of hopelessness, but to generate a hope that I could actually begin to depend on. Because what happens is you end up putting your trust and placing hope in something that isn't realistic, and then your hopes are not met, your hopes are crushed, your dreams crushed, broken, and then you're in the state of hopelessness. And then it's going to be harder for you to even hope again because, damn, what if I just get disappointed? True hope does not disappoint. Hyper realism. Listen, how does it help? Well, because number one, you're being hyper honest. You are looking at the situation, you're looking at yourself for what you truly and what the situation truly is, who you truly are. And this is good. This is good because when you see yourself for who you truly are, when you see situations for what they truly are, yeah, it's bad. They may end up being bad, but you don't see them as worse than what they actually are. Here's an example, right? I told you I was drinking and I blacked out and all that nonsense. And I woke up the next day purely, just utterly embarrassed, bro. I didn't even remember what happened the next day. I just woke up embarrassed, bro. For some odd reason, I woke up embarrassed. Now, if you blacked out, bro, and you wake up the next day embarrassed, you know you did some dumb stuff. Now, with me, right, I woke up with that hangover or whatever, and then I was told by the people who saw me how I was behaving, and all that nonsense, and it left me in a state of hopelessness, man, because the person that I was being, the person that I was showing, was actually the person I was trying to deal with, and the person I was trying to, you know, bury, the person that I was trying to overcome. I was trying to change and become a better person. And after they told me all of these things, it made me so hopeless. And the thing is about me is I can be very consistent and disciplined for a period of time, but the moment I slip and I decide not to be consistent and disciplined, that carries on for weeks, probably months. So for me, for weeks, bro, I was trying to get out of the state of hopelessness, but I was failing. And that's because I looked at things differently than what they actually were. Right? I had an idea that people looked at me a certain type of way when that's not how they spoke to me. That's not what they were saying to me, the people that, were telling me the things that I did. I also would think, no, no, I'm not meant for anybody. I'm not meant for any friends. I'm not meant to be included. I'm not meant to be a social butterfly. And, because you take that one situation and you over exaggerate the impact that it actually has on other people and even on yourself, to a point where it paralyzes you to take any action to get better, because you've pictured such a crazy situation where it looks like things won't get better. But hyperrealism is really what shifted my life, because I saw myself as somebody who, even besides this situation, previously, last year, the year before that, I will always see myself way worse than what people saw me. I had this habit of beating myself up so badly every time I disappointed people or I did wrong things to people, and I had this habit of just completely demolishing my self image and self-esteem because of how I treat, or the type of effect I have on other people, and becoming hyper realistic, like, listen here, OT, bro, like, yeah, you did this, it was a pretty dumb decision, but that's all it is. What happened there in your situation, that doesn't determine who you are. But it also, you're not determined by that one thing, right? But also, you don't have to over exaggerate the issues to make feeling sorry for yourself feel a little bit better. Because sometimes we like to feel sorry for ourselves, and that's the next tip I'm gonna give you. Because the first thing I said was realistic, being realistic. For me, that was just accepting whatever I had done as what I had done, nothing more, nothing less. Looking at the situation exactly as it is. And then the second tip that I have for you, and this is because it's something that I applied, is that you cannot fall in love with being hopeless. What do you mean? Bro, listen, it's possible. Have you ever been in a place where you're just so deep, dark, and depressed? And low-key, you don't want to get out of it. You don't know why you don't want to get out of it, but low-key, you're kind of comfortable in that position. And it's the same with hopelessness. We find ourselves doing certain things, behaving in a certain way, and it causes us to be hopeless. And because we're so comfortable being hopeless, because being hopeless is so predictable, we stop ourselves from doing things that will produce hope in us, because of fear, or because of past experiences or beliefs that you may have or we may have about ourselves. And so it leaves us in this place of comfort because you know you won't be disappointed if you're not having any expectations, right? That is so inhumane. You need to hope. You need to. So be realistic, right, about your situation and then start to look forward, right? Yeah, I did this. I made some dumbass decisions. All right, I feel hopeless about it right now, but the nice thing about what happened is it already happened. I don't have to face that situation again. It's in the past. The only one who's in the future is God. The only one who's in the present is me and God. My past is the past, right? So it's accepting that and then realize this, man. You'll repeat the same mistakes if you don't learn the lesson. So you have to obviously learn some things, but the main thing is what led you to get to that hopeless state? What led you to be in that place, right? And then you try to learn, how do I avoid this place again? Now for me, drinking, hands down, drinking. I just cannot be a person that consumes a certain amount of alcohol because it always leads me to having poor mental health the next day, the next 2, 3, 4, 5 days, the next 2 weeks. So you learn, okay, what leads me into these states of hopelessness? And then you think to yourself, how can I not enter the situation again? How can I avoid these circumstances that led me to this hopeless state? And then you do that, right? And the one thing about hopelessness is it's so immobilizing, it's so paralyzing. It really feels like you cannot do anything. You just want to lay in your bed all day and you have this depressed attitude. And to those people who have that the hopelessness that completely immobilizes you, the hopelessness that completely stops you from moving, I want to tell you I can relate. And the guy from earlier on in the story can too. And many other people watching this video can relate as well. And the one advice that I can give to you in this state of hopelessness where it feels like you can't move, honestly, don't eat. Like dead ass, bro. I know, I know. OT, what do you mean don't eat, bro? And then sometimes our brain likes to play tricks on us, bro. It really does, man. So let me cook on this on the last minute. Let me cook one last minute. Your emotions will become clearer when you're on an empty stomach. Why? Because your dopamine systems are affected by food. You take in food, you feel pleasure, you feel some sort of reward. When you do not eat, you deprive yourself of that pleasure, of that reward, and now all you're left with is all the pleasure and reward that you have accumulated for yourself through tasks that you got done, or you somehow just feel good about yourself and you just feel good. But essentially is when you're not eating, you're not going to be distracted by any other impulses, emotional impulses. When we eat, it's so easy to feel happy and joyful and peace after you've eaten. When you don't eat, you deprive yourself of that easy boost of joy, easy boost of happiness and peace and pleasure. And now you're gonna be forced to get it elsewhere. But also you're also gonna be forced to see yourself for who you really are. Because when you're fasted and you haven't eaten, you start to think clearer and you start to make better judgments and better decisions because your mind is not clouded with the reward from easy pleasures or easy substances. Your brain isn't rewarded, and because your brain is not rewarded, you're forced to become emotionally intelligent. You're forced to literally learn yourself. How am I feeling right now? This is an example. How am I feeling right now? Is this what I want to feel? Is it affecting somebody else in any certain type of way? Do I need to change how I feel? Do I need to change how I act? For the sake of someone else, for my sake. And that's what emotional intelligence is. It's being able to assess and determine your own emotions, but also assess and determine the emotions of other people. Now, I'm not here to talk about manipulation. We're here to talk about hopelessness, right? So don't eat. I dare you. Go 3 days. Listen, if you're overweight, yeah, do that. If you're underweight, don't do what I say. If you're underweight, all right, and I'm not trying to kill you, but you're also in the state of hopelessness, there's only one thing I can say to you, bro. Call unto Jesus, bro. Call the name of Jesus, bro. Because listen, if you've tried everything to secure hope in your life and you still don't have it, you should probably become a Christian. I'm not hating on any other religion by saying that. I just know that Christian people are hopeful people. So give it a shot. And that's hopelessness, man. I gave you the tips and keys on how to overcome it. I gave you how what it looks like, how I overcame it in my life. I think if I want to add a side note is for me personally, what really, 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 really helped me with hopelessness is forgiveness. Forgiving myself, especially because when you can forgive yourself, you can start to think, you know what, things will get better. The most hopeless people are the ones that actually have this self-hating type of attitude and they don't love themselves. So I would say if you're very hopeless, take the steps to build self-love. Now that's a video we can talk about another day, but now you know what to do. Take those steps. Love yourself. We can make a I'll make a video on how to love yourself because that's probably needed. But that's how you deal and get through hopelessness, man. Remember, I believe in you.